Hey, welcome back to Cards and Comics. And today I'm going to be comparing Vintage Card Prices database to Card Ladder. And, I want to really answer the question, which is the better tool for collectors? Because I see a lot of people using these new tools, Card Ladder is one of them. And it's interesting to me because when I was collecting 10, 15 years ago, VCP was really the only tool we had besides going to eBay sold values. But I'm a collector, so I'm really only looking at it from a perspective of my cards that I collect, my players I collect, the years and the grading companies that I buy, and can I find the data, and is the data useful, and is it up to date, and is it relevant? So I want to give an overview of the databases so we can talk about apples to apples, so to speak. So comparison here: vintage card prices is $17.99 a month compared to Card Ladder, which is $15. Total cards in database, and this is a big one. I mean, there's no real comparison here. Um, VCP has almost 750,000 cards versus 16,000 for Card Ladder. So Card Ladder is very curated. It's very much niche, and this is the definition of niche, and it's not always a negative, but they are very much a niche provider of information, whereas VCP is really trying to get every card in the database and every grade possible. Now, eBay pricing is updated in VCP every 15 minutes, while Card Ladder uses a approach where they curate the data, they make sure they think it's good, and they have kind of some high level review of data, and then if it's okay, then it's updated at 6 a.m. The next day. Right now, VCP list on their website only doing PSA, BGS, and SGC. However, they used to do GAI, which is no longer a relevant grading service, but they still list them in their database when you go look at their cards, when you look at the grades that are available. And Card Ladder says he lists PSA, SGC, and BGS, but SGC cards are few and far between, in my opinion. Price sources: VCP lists eBay plus 16 auction houses, whereas Card Ladder lists eBay, MySlabs, and 3 other auction houses. So we'll go right into a quick demo of each system and show you how they work. Alright, we're going to do an overview of the VCP system. So we'll start with, this is your home screen when you log in. You definitely get some options over here. They definitely have a collection, a want list, a market report. We'll click on that, and it's really just kind of like cards that have sold recently. So it's not interesting to me because you've got no prices given here. So if you click on it, it gives you a price. I guess 11,685. But that's just weird. It's like they've taken the database. So on this part of it, I definitely think they've taken the database and added just a little bit of functionality to it. You get the cold, and a lot of these cards aren't, Corey Seager, Rosarina, Acuna. So but like I said, 79 tops, Oscar Gamble 10. I mean, that's not really a relevant card. And then top 25, I'm assuming these are just biggest sale, so this is good. And so they got the data here for the actual sales. That's good. Obviously lots of Babe Ruth and Mano cards here, so literally top like what, 8, 9 are Mano and Ruth and Garrett cards. So I think that's Pete Rose. So yeah, I mean, it's kind of the what you would expect from a top 25 list in VCP. You can sort it by basketball. So here's basketball. So Steph Curry. So there's some more interesting cards. Again, the cold, and you can do for basketball and football. Again, I don't know why they put percentages versus actual numbers. So that part, my collection, you've got, you can add different cards. I haven't ever tried this. It's not what I really use this for. It's not a functionality I really look to. Their how-to is interesting because it's all videos, so it doesn't really, and it's like 4 videos, and I haven't gone through the videos to see if they're any good, but versus like a scripted FAQ or some more useful thing. You got your normal search, and so I'll show you like kind of how I search VCP. Because I use VCP quite a bit. It's my standard way of looking at cards, and it's interesting. I didn't go to the home, so I don't know. Do you go like up here? Can you go back to home? Then I'm going to scroll down here, and it kind of gives you some, again, of the same day, top today's losers, gainers, market value, current card date, and there's where you can see the actual number of cards in the database, auction. So there's some interesting numbers here. It shows you who the auction houses they support. eBay, Heritage, Golden, Leland's, Clean Sweep, Memory Lane, REA, Mile High, SCP, Brockelman, I can't really, Goodwin, Huggins Scott, Sports Card Link, Love for the Game, Sports Cards Auctions, and I can't really see who this guy is. So, I think there's 16 of them. So definitely a lot of different auction houses. It tells you right off the bat that it's PSA, Beckett, and SGC. What's interesting, the database still has GAI, and I'll show that to you, which is a very irrelevant grader in today's market. So here's some things. So now when I go and search, so you got keywords, player name, set name, and ACC number. ACC number is very old school. It's the card catalog number for the set. Very few people memorize that, but I know a lot of old school collectors know sets by their ACC number. Modern collectors not so much. So if I go for, let's say, 1989 Griffey, this is keyword searching. It brings up the sets, and it brings up all the different cards. Sometimes they're sorted in order, sometimes they're not. I mean, this has always been kind of a dog's breath in terms of trying to find a card this way. Obviously, if I want to find the upper deck, Griffey, and you got to kind of go through and do it this way. Now I can add upper, and there it is. So that's, you got to kind of understand how the keyword search work, but it definitely works very well. Now if I put Ken, it doesn't work, right? No searches, because for whatever reason, if I just pick Ken, it works, right? So, but you get all the abbreviations, but as soon as I add the G, it doesn't work. So it's a really weird, it's like it doesn't let you use full names and keywords. Now if you do player name, you have to do, so if I try 1989, there we go, Ken, no results. So if I do Ken Griffey, then you'll get, come on, it's interesting. There you go. You get, the dad and the junior. So you can click on this, you can get all his cards, and it'll be kind of messy, right? You'll see all the cards, but you'll get them all. And so if you want to see, this is actually, I use this sometimes to create list of cards for players. So like if I want to know how many Griffey cards are out there, there's 4,308 Griffey cards in the VCP database. I'm not going to go through them all. I'll just show you that it's awesome. And the one thing I do like about it is you can add Griffey cards to your collection very simply, or to your want list. So that works pretty well. So back to Griffey. Again, you can switch. This is another thing too, is the database only works for a sport. So you can't just search for Griffey, and you actually have to do it by sport, other. I don't know if Griffey would work for other. Search, no, nothing. And then so I always use keyword, but set name. I don't know what you would do this for. I guess if you wanted 1953 tops, no results. Okay, that's interesting. Again, because I got it on other. So if I go baseball, this is another thing too. You got to remember where you're at, because this is very confusing sometimes. So you go 1953 tops, and then you hit it, and there's your entire 53 top set. So you can go through and make a checklist, or check prices. So we'll go back to the Griffey. So we'll go back to keywords, 1989 upper deck Griffey. There you go. Pretty simple. And then you can see PSA, SGC, GAI, Beckett, and PSA qualified. I don't know why they put that at the bottom and not here with PSA, but I guess they want to put anything in between PSA and SGC. GAI, it needs to be deleted. I don't understand why that's still there. I mean, it's been very relevant. I guarantee if I click on, let's say, a PSA 9 GAI, there hasn't, there's one sold this year, like one sold last year. I mean, it's so irrelevant to modern day cards. They just need to delete it. But if you go to PSA, say take the PSA 9 Griffey in there, and you can see on this axis here you've got 1 month, 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, 5 years. So if you click 5 years, you can see a pretty good trend report on how this card is done. You can see it peaked back in February and March, obviously, and then it's back down. So it's almost at the same level as it was back here. Almost. It's almost gotten back down. But you can see the last sell, $356, and so it was got down to almost below $200, and now it's magically back up to $355. And again, Probe Scene Auctions are bringing $300 the last 2 times, but the DC Sports guy only got $200. Yeah, a little suspicious. But there you go. I don't mean to do a gradient analysis or a cost analysis, but that's how you see the different cards. Now, you obviously cannot compare BGS cards to PSA cards in a graph inside of, if you want to go to SGC, you cannot see, the pricing of, go back to 5 years. You cannot see, PSA and SGC cards together on one chart. That I figured out how to do. So, but if you want it, the good thing about this, so if I wanted to, another good thing about I like about VCP is, if I want to see the image and seller of every card, I can go right into this image, bring up the auction. I can actually go right to the actual seller, the date, and what it actually looks like. Because sometimes you want to look at serial numbers. Sometimes cards sell multiple times in a row, and sometimes it's because the card never got paid for, and so it's good to know that the card's first sale may have never actually really happened. So there you go, and then you can hit the auction and actually go to the auction. There you go. There's the auction. So you can actually open up the auction in eBay, for example. Now, does it work for heritage auctions? So let's go to non-eBay auctions. This card may not sell actually in a non-eBay auction, so let me go to something that actually would sell in a non-eBay auction, like a PSA 10 Griffey. Let's see, eBay, tons of eBay, maybe. So if you wanted to actually increase the amount of page views, so you can go to 100, and now you've got 100 views, and there's REA. So there we go. So I click the auction, and it will take me to the REA auction. So it definitely works for both eBay and non-eBay auctions. So it's very cool. Going back here, so yeah, I mean, it definitely works really well. It gives you pricing. You can look at 5-year data. You can look at 1 year, 1 month data. A lot of times what I do is I'll just like it's right now, let's say the 1 month data, and I'll go through here and I'll just like do my own kind of, I look at this curve like, oh, I want to capture that dip. Okay, well, or that hump. Now I've got the hump, and there you go. Now I can see this data and kind of, and really do the graph I want to look at. So yeah, I believe you can, there's chart content menu, so you can download the chart. And if you want to do analysis in a different, like download it, put it in Excel, do some graphs and comparisons that way. Obviously, that's not as cool as what Card Ladder can do, some comparison tools. So, but it's a way to do some data analysis, download some charts, do some side-by-side comparisons. So, very cool. I like how this works, and I've used it for so long. I'm very comfortable with it. So, but it's definitely not as user-friendly in terms of being able to do side-by-side comparisons as Card Ladder. So. But there it is. That's the overview of VCP. You can definitely find anything. I'll search for like a 1958 Mantle. You can see it pops up. There's tops. I don't even usually put the tops in there. Just quicker. There's a PSA 8. I click on the PSA 8. Bam. If I want to go last 6 months, there's the data. Now all the cards have sold, so I go to 3 years, and I can see the cards spend 4,600 down. Now it's up to 10,000. Obviously, it's the same thing. We're seeing a lot of heritage, memory lane, mile high. So you get all the different auction houses. So it gives you a great, overview of what this card really brings. You can go back pretty much, a long time in history to really see how this card's been doing. So it's a great tool. So I'll move on to card ladder and go through a review of kind of how that system works. All right, now we're going to look at card ladder, and so it's a new tool for me. I just subscribed. I've kind of poked around on the site just to kind of see how it works, and it's got a lot of tools. And the thing I like about it right off the bat, better than VCP, is instead of having the odd YouTube videos to show you how to use the site, you've got this really nice drop down, and and so a lot of topics. But if you look at sales data, for example, and this is where you start kind of seeing how card ladder is very different than VCP. First of all, it has idea purgatory, where they look at all sales and make decisions on which sales go into the database, which ones go into a separate system that don't get calculated in terms of all these kind of metrics they're matching. You can still see the purgatory data, sales that are excluded from the main database if you want to, but I don't really know if I like this option because, all honesty, I kind of want to see all the data anyway, and let me make the decision if I think the data set's reliable. But they're think that they're protecting the consumer by doing this. I feel like it's more trouble than it's worth. Sources of data, they have about 5 or 6 places of getting data from, whereas you saw VCP at 16. So I think they are going to be missing more data than VCP does in terms of sales. They have the CL50 index, which is 50 high profile cards. It's at the discretion of the editor staff on which cards are in the index. So basically it's just whatever they want. It's not really something I would spend a lot of time analyzing. I don't think it provides a lot of value for anyone in the hobby, other than just, I'm sure if they want to just hoke it and say how cards are always doing great, is by making sure every card they put on the list is growing. I don't know why they would. It just seems like a waste of time, honestly. And I'm sure they're someone's spending time doing it. What safeguards are ethically reporting data. So this is where they talk about, we're collectors first. We love collecting. We implore you to adopt a skeptical mindset. So, and vet all data. So, they're pretty much telling you that there's bad players out there, and data is being, misleading or being hoked so that you can't see the true value. So they're protecting you, and the value of card ladder is around this idea. Yet they're gonna do this work for you, so you don't have to figure out what's true and what's not true. But to me, it seems like a lot of hot air, because it's pretty easy, in my opinion, to see what's true and not true. I don't need to pay a service for that. Here are some other things that's very interesting. Like, should I grade my cards? This question, okay? Yeah, you should grade them. They're worth a lot more. And where and how do I grade cards? Well, you should use PSA and BGS. I think this is kind of dumb on their part. They should not be given opinions on what the best grading companies are. They're a service around pricing, not, not around giving you ideas on who the best grading companies are. They even have questions: are cards a good alternative investment? Absolutely, go for it. You put money in, you get money back out. It's very, very pro. And here's another one. We're kind of learning about all the cards that exist. All the cards. This isn't like we're kind of learning about my 89 Griffey. No, this is all the cards. And they say, seriously, our database is the most comprehensive in the world, but it's not a complete checklist. Those two things are completely opposite statements. Our database is most comprehensive, but it's not a complete checklist, like other sites that are comprehensive checklists that talk about all the cards that exist. Very odd for them to do this. And this is an example of what I call like, they want to show they have tons of value for their $15 a month they charge. But, it's excessive. They need to be a pricing service, not, go into these other tangents where they're trying to show value. It's really around the cards and showing their value. And so who makes cards today? What are the best products to buy? I mean, I don't understand why they're answering these questions. Where can I buy boxes? I mean, they're being very, to me, they're being very difficult to understand why they're doing some of these questions and answers. Because it's not really the services they're selling. In their opinion, obviously, shouldn't matter a whole lot because they're there to tell you, what the price of something is, not, who should grade your cards or how to grade and all that. So, compare is the one thing I think that people love about Card Ladder. It's really where you can graph out two different cards and you can see it, on one graph, and it's cool. And that's a option VCP doesn't. And we mentioned Purgatory. So if you wanted to see the sales, you must click the card's profile, click View All Sales, and then click the storage bin icon, and all the sales will be in that display. So how do you search in Card Ladder for a card? You got all this stuff on the side here. You got Player Index, Price Check. I think Price Check is one of the sillier ones because you think this is going to check the price of a card, but really you have to enter the player name, how much you paid for the card, and when you bought it, and then it estimates sort of like the value based on percentages in the market share for this player and all this other stuff. Like, well, or you could just add the player in that card to your database, and we would know for sure. It's like, yeah, if it's not in the database, we can like hoax some data for you and get something out there. It's not really a feature I think it's worth much. But okay, so if you go back to search for a card, so I go 1989 Griffey. Okay, pretty simple. Bam, 41 results. Perfect. You get the card. Now, it's very clunky how they've laid this out. Whereas in VCP, you saw, the stacking, PSA was in one section, BGS was another section. So it was sorted by graders. Here it's like all over the place. You got an 89 Bowman Tiffany and an Upper Deck and a Bowman. It's not even alphabetical. It's very weird how they've structured this. I don't know if it's based on value. Maybe that's okay. That's probably a good guess. Okay, so it's based on value. So I guess you can change it here. So if I want it to be name, so I can do it by pop, market cap, last sold, undervalued percentage monthly. No, I want it by name and set. I can't change it. Okay, so I can't sort it by set. So I wanted the Bowmans in one section, and nope. And it's sorted also by grade. So this isn't like Bowman and then you get all the grades underneath it. It's like, no, it's just a 10. Or it's the BGS 10 or the SGC 10 for the Tiffany, and it's kind of clunky. So now, unlike VCP, I can add Griffey, and if I want to add Tiffany to the search, it pulls it right up. So that definitely helps. And if I want it all PSA, I just hit PSA, and it pulls it right up. There you go. If I wanted just PSA 10s, it will again just give me the 10s. So 1989 Griffey 10s, and there's the two cards that should be there, Bowman and Tiffany. Works pretty good. So their basic search engine is more capable of handling complexity in searches. It's not so rigid where you saw like with the VCP you've got to search by sport and then keyword or player and set name and all this. This is much more flexible. So, but this sorting feature sucks but that is terrible. Like, you don't need that. I want to see a bunch of cards from different sets. It's like, you can't filter by the set. You can't filter by, a lot of things that you would want to filter by. So I just don't like that. Um, and then, the tool that everyone, obviously wants to look at is compare. So, I think this is the best tool that's in here. So if I want to look at the same thing, Griffey, Tiffany, PSA, and I look at, okay, what's my choices here? Maybe. Okay, there they are. Kind of weird. So I will add the Tiffany, and then I can add the Bowman. So, there's the two cards. There's down here you see the green is the Griffey 10 Topps traded, and the blue is the Griffey 9 Bowman. So I can say, hey, the Bowman, and the Tiffany, price difference. And I see a lot of YouTube videos doing this and comparing the prices and overlaying, like if I wanted to add, let's say, the Bowman 10, let's scroll down here and add that 10. Which I don't see it, so I guess it doesn't exist. So I got the Bowman Tiffany. Yeah, I don't see on the list here. Interesting. Okay, well, maybe I'm doing something wrong. I don't know. But it did not show up. So let's take off the Topps traded and see if I got. Nope, I just got one graph. Okay, well, that didn't work. Odd. All right. Maybe it's because the time frame. Maybe I get one hadn't sold, so let's go like 1 year. There we go. Just my time frame is wrong. So there you go. Actually, this graph's kind of cool. You see how the nine's been very flat. So anyway, so it's a very useful tool, and I love it. I think it's a great tool. VCP should definitely look at doing something like this. So that's sort of an overview of how to use the tools. Obviously, there's some more tools that we didn't talk about. Watch list, collection, which is VCP's got that as well. They got the ladder, which I don't find very useful. I mean, it's just another way to search. And I think it kind of gives these kind of like the sales data. So like if again, if I look at just searching for Griffey and I want to look at the PSA 10, and there is sales, to look at the actual sales data, I got to click on this PSA 10, and then I'm trying to figure out how to get to the sales easily on my computer, and oh, there it is, view all sales. So it's not as intuitive. I just feel like it's just not as intuitive. And there's all the sales, and then yeah, here's the purgatory sales, the two things that didn't make it. I don't know, it's because probably the same card number, that didn't sell. Now, the one thing that is really bad, and I wanted to show it to you. Again, I got to go back to view all sales. So I take any sale that's in here, and I want to look at the card, just the card. I don't want to look at the auction. It's tough because if I click on this auction here, it'll take me to the eBay auction, right? And then I can look at the card there. VCP offered a service where you could just look at the card without having to go to all the auctions. Like here's a My Slab, so I go to My Slabs, and I can see the card, fine, it's one click, but I don't want to leave. So VCP did offer the service where you could stay on the site and see the card that was in the auction. I like that a little bit better than this viewpoint. I also like VCP kind of had, like here you've got a chart, but I got to get rid of that. Then I can see the chart, right? And it's an interesting way they're doing it. I think there's a lot of things here clunkier, and so it's new for me, so maybe I'm just not as good of a user because I've been using VCP forever. So there we go. That's the overview of like card ladder and VCP and how you would use the tools just to look up card values. So next we're going to go into actually looking up the 10 cards and doing that comparison and see which one is, which tool gives us better data and which one's more useful. All right, for this part of the challenge, we've got 10 modern cards and 10 vintage cards I'm going to use for this price comparison challenge. And I've got a variety of years and actually grading companies. So we'll start with vintage. So I've got a 55 tops All-Star Jim Thorpe PSA 8. I think this will be interesting to see if this is in both databases. Next up is a 55 tops Ernie Banks PSA 8. I love all 55 8s, so this is a really awesome card, and for me it's a really well centered, so it's one of my favorite 50s cards. Here is a card I threw here to get some SGC love, and this is one of my cards I've not popped out and resent to PSA from SGC. I will probably always keep it in this holder. It's a well-centered card, and it's got some nice back on it too, not off-center. So this is a card that I just feel like it's in a great holder, and I'm not going to send it to PSA. I just don't take the risk, and I just think it looks awesome in that holder. Next up is, you saw in one of my other videos, my 65 Clemente PSA, and this is what the last card I needed to complete my base Clemente Tops run, or just base Clemente run. There's a flare card in there. And next up is an 8.569 Maze, and this is a great card, and I'm just interested to see what the half grades, how many of them exist in both databases and are they up to date. Next up is some modern cards, and I feel like VCP is going to have a hard time with some of these modern cards, but you never know. First up, now this is a LeBron James. It is a 2005 Upper Deck Sweet Shot Signature Shots LeBron James 8.510. So this is all kinds of tricky. It's got not a 910 grade. It's an autograph from an 0506 set, but it's LeBron James, so hopefully it should be in both databases, but I think it's a good challenge. Next up is a card that should obviously be in the database, which is a 93 Finest Refractor Griffey Jr. Even though it's an 8.5, all grades should be in there because this card is so iconic. After that, I've got this Topps Finest Trout Rookie in a refractor in a BGS 9. And again, that should definitely be in there in both of them. After that is, this is like one of the, let's say best Griffey inserts. It's the 97 Donruss Preferred Precious Metals Platinum. So that's the Griffey in a 9. And so, that card is rare and high demand, so hopefully it's in both databases. I think that's a challenge. And then lastly, I threw this card in because I just picked up a little while ago. B, it's from a set that doesn't have a lot of love, and it's a kind of a Brady insert or parallel, and I would be interested to see if either one of them has this card in there. Just because it's not, let's say, a hugely popular card right now, but it's a cool color match. Refractor Prism from pretty early in the Prism run, so interested to see it's there. So that's the cards I'm going to use, and I'll look all 10 of them up, and we'll do side-by-side comparison and see what the pricing data looks like, and see if there's missing data or just if they're there at all, and we'll see. We're going to start with football. So football cards for me, I do a good mix of modern and vintage. So I'm going to start with a card that, one of my favorite cards of all time. It's the 1955 Topps Jim Thorpe, and we'll see what pricing looks like for both. So we'll start here. 1955 Thorpe. And card ladder does not have it. I don't think they have it. Yeah, no Thorpe cards. So let's go over select football. And 1955 Thorpe. Spell it right. There it is. And I have a PSA 8, and there you go. Last sale was in May, $4,595. I bought this card a couple years ago when it was bringing around $1,200, so right around this time period here in 2018. So pretty good return on investment there. All right, next up is the 2014 Prism Tom Brady. And so we'll go 2014 Prism Brady red. So it looks like the only one that, and mine's a PSA 9. So it looks like the card exists in Card Ladder, but just not in the right grade. Let's see what we got over here. 2014 Prism Brady red. Nope. So not there. Well, maybe we can just scroll through and see if we can find it. There, hey, look at that right there, red, white, and blue. So I could find it. And there's the grade, PSA 9. So they have pricing. Last one sold in June for $290, and yeah, and doesn't exist in Card Ladder, only the PSA 10. So right now, 0 for 2 for Card Ladder and 2 for 2 for PSA. A little unexpected there. Next up, we're going to go with the 1955 Topps Ernie Banks. And we'll see what we got here. For Card Ladder, we'll go, whoops, I can do this right. 1955 Banks. No Banks cards from 55, so that's his second year. Switch it to baseball, and 1955, oops, 55 Banks. There we go. And he's right there, and I have a PSA, and there you go. Last sale in October 9th for $30,000. And look, there's your kind of questionable sale. If you're going to, question that the card's gone from right around $2,000, $2,100 to $3,000 from a PWCC to a memory lane auction. It's always kind of doubting some of these auction prices sometimes. So Card Ladder's 0 for 3, and VCP is 3 for 3. On to the 56 Jackie Robinson. Now this is an SGC 88. So 1956 Robinson SGC. No results. There's a PSA 8. So there's a PSA 8, but no SGC 8. Let's go over here. 1955 Robinson. 55 Topps, full diamond, partial diamond. It's very interesting. They delineate that there is, right here, sometimes a missing part of the diamond here. And when it does that, it's a variation. And so I have an SGC 88, so it's right there. And you can see last sale in February for $7,000. So that's a little bit of a red flag sell, just because that was right in the crazy time period, but $7,000. Before that was bringing around $3,000. And if you look at what Card Ladder has, since we haven't seen any comparison data, I'll just put it up here, and you can see the last sale they have is $6,000 for a PSA 8 on eBay, fixed price auction. So I'm assuming it was a buy it now. And so if you take out the one sale here, and say, okay, well, even average price of close to $5,000, there's a pretty big delta between PSA and SGC. So this is a good example of that. So moving on, next card on the list is my 65 Clemente that I just got that finished out my Roberto Clemente graded base card set in 1965 Clemente. No cards. That's very disappointing for a card I feel is a great card. 65 Clemente. It's very interesting. It's not in the set. It's card number 160, and sometimes you can just bit 160, and nope, no result there. I think if you do 65 160, there you go. It comes up, and looking at it, and there's the PS8 right around $1,000 right here. So, and this is a good thing I like about both of them is that you don't need to click on the sales to get the average, but you click on it, you can definitely see last sales, and actually 2 of the last 3 was under 1,000. So this card is stabilizing out as well, and it's not very rare. It's just not a rare card, so I can see why it's stabilizing or slightly going down. Next up is 1969 Willie Mays, PSA 8.5. 1965 Mays. Nope. Card ladder says I hate all vintage cards. 1969 Mays. It is card number 190, so I could just do 190. And there it is. 8.5, there you go. Last sale was $2,000 in February. A little skeptical that time period, but before that was around $1,500. So it'd be interesting to see if one sold now. I mean, it's been almost 8 months or over 8 months since one of these sold. So, but card ladder again, missing out on vintage cards, and VCP right in its wheelhouse, dead on. All right, so now we're gonna move into modern cards. So this is one of the ringer cards I put in here, thinking that maybe this would be missed by Bo. So this is the 1997 Donruss Preferred. Yeah, there's just not even any 97 Donruss cards, so I don't think it's going to be in there. 97, just do Griffey. And there's 3 cards for 97. They're all Flair Showcase. So, yeah. Whatever. Not impressed. Now, let's see what we got over here, because this could be very interesting. 1997 Donruss Preferred. Griffey. There it is. Look at that. It is in this database. Now, my card's a BGS 9. And does it have pricing for a BGS 9? There it is. Oh my gosh. Very shocking that this card's in this database, honestly. Okay, wow. Last sale was in 2020 and $1,400. Very flat sales price, but there you go. VCP came through on that card. I'm really kind of shocked on that one. All right, next up is a card that I think most people would also imagine that both sets should have, because it's the 93 Finest Refractor King Griffey Jr. It's a big card. It's basically, I think, Griffey's ultimate parallel card. 93 Finest Griffey. And then I need a BGS, so let's see what we got. BGS 9 or 8.5. Hey, it's in here. There you go. Very cool. All right, so on the board, card ladders on the board now. Very nice. Average value $3,715. Let's see. 1993 Finest Refractor Griffey. Oh, there it is. Great. 8.5 BGS, and there it is. $1,800 average. So you can see So let's look at the view all sales. Yeah, there's some very interesting things going on here. So oh, it's BVG. Um, so I'll go back on this one. Did I make a mistake? No, they got them both together. Okay, I was just wondering. BVG versus BGS. Wow, there is some really interesting things here going on because um, if you kind of scroll up here, um, this is an 8.5, right? BGS 8.5, view all sales, and but yeah, look at that. There is some missing data here for Card Ladder because there's a sale um, on 5/8 and it's missing here on 2020. In fact, Card Ladder's last sale was in 2017. There was a 19 and a 20 sale, 19, 2019 and a 2020 sale, which is much higher. Both those cards were close to $2,000 compared to the 873 that's actually listed here. So I am shocked that Card Ladder is missing these eBay sales because, and sometimes with eBay, it feels like Card Ladder may have more eBay information than VCP, but in this case it doesn't. So not only does VCP get the check mark for having the card in the database, just like you know, Card Ladder, but it looks like there's more data and so a little more accurate pricing going on in VCP. Very interesting. So next card is the 2011 Topps Finest Refractor Mike Trout rookie card. So scroll back here. 2011 Finest Trout is a BGS. So there is a refractor. I need the BGS 9. Bam. Average price $13.60. All right, you're up, Mr. VCP 2011 Finest Trout. And there's the refractor, number 94. No image. It's kind of disappointing that they don't have the image, and it is something I've seen with a lot of VCP is that for modern they don't have a lot of data in terms of pictures. And let's see, this is a BGS 9. There you go. And its average price is $16.41. So let's go to sales, do the sales comparison. And yeah, this is what I'm talking about. This June 17th sale. I think Card Ladder has it $1,500 where it's $18.95 in VCP. I would guess to think that this was a best offer and this is what it actually sold for and this is what it was listed for, but I don't know. If you try to look at the listing itself, and it says it's missing, so it's obviously probably too old to be listed or to be sold or to be saved. And everything else looks pretty neat, but you do have something like this December 5th, 2020 sale from eBay not in the data set here. So what we had before where there was missing data on the Griffey from Card Ladder, looks like they're missing data for VCP. So this is a good lesson as just a user of these systems is they're not perfect and they're going to be missing data. So it's very interesting. But both cards in the system, which I mean, obviously a 2011 Finest Refractor Trout seems like it should be in both systems. It kind of fits the niche of Card Ladder very well, and it's a big enough modern card for VCP to start looking at it. Next up is the only basketball card, and it is the ringer of all ringers in my set, or my checklist here for us to look at. It's the 2005 LeBron James Sweet Spot Auto. So let's see, 2005 Sweet, nope, Upper Deck, LeBron. All right, so there's definitely no Upper Deck LeBron sweet spot. Now let's see if it's actually in VCP. So switch it to basketball. 2005 Upper Deck Sweet Sweet Spot Signatures. Is that what this is? So yep, Sweet Spot Signatures. There we go. Sweet Spot Signatures right here. It's the set, and who's in the set? Is there LeBron? No LeBron. So there's no Sweet Spot Signatures LeBron. Oh, Woods. Oh, wait a minute. This is like a little bit of a different one. So let's go back to that. Let's add LeBron. And LeBron James Sweet Spot. So there's Wood, Acetate, Sweet Shot Spot Signatures, Blue, LJ, and I think that is the card right there. Card number. Yep. SS. Yep, there we go. SSA. Hold on. You can look at it real close. So this is SSLJ. So is there an SS? There's an SSJLJ. SSLJ, it's right here. Yeah, I don't know. I can't see. Hey, look, there's even a photo of the card. Sweet. And it's my card. Nice. Now, my card's a BGS 8.5. So it'll be shocking if it's in here. And it's in here. Oh my gosh. This is insane. This card's in here. Wow. Sold July of this year for $2,700. Wow. Wow, that's very shocking that this card's actually in VCP. And it is exactly the card I've got. Very cool. Very, very cool that this card's in there. So, wow. VCP impressed me there. So, there you go. That's all 10 cards. And we'll do the summary slide and go through and kind of pick the winner. So let's go to the summary. All right, so back to the summary page, and so we went through all 10 cards, and all 10 cards were in VCP, which was shocking to me. I really thought we would miss a few of those modern cards. And Card Ladder, unfortunately, only had 2 of the 10 cards in their system in the grade or condition, or the grader, from the grader or in the condition that I actually own. So that was disappointing to me. So, going back to the ranking criteria where we had, do the cards exist in the database? How accurate is the pricing? How easy was it to use? And, what's the tools and other content on the website? Who's got better content or tools? For the cards in the database, obviously 10 out of 10. Home run for VCP. I try to use cards I thought that it would be missing, especially on the modern side, but they had them all. It was very impressive. VCP came out ahead easily. Accuracy and pricing, we saw a little bit of an issue on one card. I believe it was the Griffey, but you saw that there was accuracy issues on the Trout. In terms of just missing data. So both of them had data missing, from each other. So to me, it was a wash. But the fact that you had 10 out of 10 cards just means that you actually had pricing data. So I'm going to give the nod on this one to VCP, even though I think Card Ladder, in some cases may have better data just because it seems like they've got more, maybe they've got the actual buy now data versus just the listing data. For cards that are sold through buy now, but that's just one card. So I think right now we have to give VCP the nod here for just having all the data. Ease of use, I find VCP very easy to use. I like the fact that when you get the card, you click on it, you see all the grades, all the pricing, and you can just click around and kind of find things very easily. I find, Card Ladders kind of tiering, where they basically every card is its own little window instead of a summary of everything. Just seems harder to me and more clunky. So I would give nod to VCP there. Tools. This is where Card Ladder really, 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 really has a big advantage. That comparison tool is amazing compared to what VCP has in terms of these tools. The rest of the website between the two, a lot of information I don't care about. I don't care about hot list, cold list, CL50, whatever. I do find that comparison tool to be compelling. So that's, to me, a good reason to use Card Ladder, is because you can definitely do some cool graphs, and I know a lot of YouTubers use it, and it's a useful tool. So I think VCP should really look at getting something very similar. Also, the FAQ section on Card Ladder was much better, and the demos was much better. Even though I do think some of the content in Card Ladder's FAQ is questionable. So overall, who won? Well, I think it's fairly obvious that VCP is your big winner. 10 out of 10 for cards. They actually have pricing, so to me, if you actually have the data, you're more accurate than missing data. Card Ladder is just very niche right now, and that's how I would say in summary is Card Ladder is a niche tool. It's not universal, especially on older cards. I collect older cards and newer cards, but the fact it was missing newer cards as well just showed me that Card Ladder is just too young of a system for me to spend money on month to month. I think VCP has all the cards I'm looking for, all the cards I collect in the database right now, and Card Ladder is missing 80% of them. So for that reason and reason alone, I would choose VCP. But some other things too. I think visually appealing. When you look for things, it's very easy to find different grades and compare pricing across the board. So for that reason, I'd use VCP, even though I like the tools of Card Ladder better. So that's how I saw it this time around. This little test, this comparison. Let me know how you guys use the tools and what you think about it. And I'll catch you guys next time, and have a great day.